3A1 Compound Interest. In this part of the lesson, you will learn about number 1, finding total amount involving compound interest. And how do you find the interest involving compound interest? Now, there will be a few types of a compound interest that you will study. Namely, the first one is compounded yearly. So it will be the yearly compound interest. The second type will be the interest that is compounded monthly, which will be the monthly compound interest. And last type, where there will be a little bit of problem sums on how do you find the principal amount given the involving compound interest. Now let's begin. Now let's begin with the yearly compound interest. Question 1. Andy saved $8,000 into the bank at compound interest rate of 2.5% per annum. Now, inside this question, they did not tell me whether do they want compounded yearly or compounded monthly. When that is not being stated, we always take it as compounded yearly. If they want to compound it monthly, they must tell us that it's compounded monthly. Alright, so the first part here, I already know what is the principal amount, the $8,000, the original amount that we have to start with to begin with. And I know my interest rate. This is the interest rate R. Okay, and this is in interest rate per year. So if I want to compound it yearly, my interest rate should also be in years, right? Then, but how long am I going to save this, or how many times is it going to be compounded? So let's read the question. How much money would how much would there be in Andy's account at the end of 3 years? So end of 3 years, this one tells me the time period, or the number of times will be 3 times. But what does the question really want? Does it want the total amount, or does it want the interest? The question is asking for how much will there be in Andy's account? So at the end of the 3 years in Andy's account, they will have the original sum of money plus the interest itself. So it's actually looking for the total amount. Now, please remember your compound interest formula. A lot of students start remembering their compound interest formula with P bracket 1 plus R over 100 to the power of N. Now, this is not a very good habit because you need to remember that this formula is actually for finding the total amount. So the formula should begin with total amount equals to, right? The P bracket 1 plus R over 100 to the power of N. Now, this formula is usually given in the formula sheet during the N-level examinations, but it may not be given in your common test. So please do remember the formula. Right? So now let's begin with what are the things that we know. We know that the principal amount P is $8,000. And I have 1 plus the interest rate is 2.5% per year. And the number of times, the 3 years, that will be the answer. Now, what will be the final answer? Any answer involving money should be given in correct to two decimal places. All right, let me key this into my calculator. Now, some of you might make careless mistakes when you key into your calculator. Please do practice your calculator skills. Make sure you get the correct answer. Now, on my calculator, the accurate answer is 8615.125. But however, money should be given in 2 decimal places. So this is the first decimal place. This is my second decimal place. This is the number 5. So I need to round it up to the nearest cent. So this will be a total of $8615.13. Question is asking for how much will there be, which is actually the total amount. And then this is the total amount, therefore this is the correct answer. Next part, if the question were to say find the interest, so from the total amount, how do we get the interest? So this is the total amount over here that we have found this answer. So we shall use this answer And we begin with $8,000. We got $8,615.13 at the end of it. So how much is the interest? So the interest earned will be taking the total amount that you have, you need to minus away $8,000, the amount that you started with. So it will be $615.13. Again, this number should be in two decimal places. If the question says otherwise, for example, giving your answer to the nearest dollar, then you round it off to the nearest integer. Alright? Or if the question says three significant figures, then you give your answer correct to three significant figures. Now, so this question says asking for interest. So I've already found the interest, and this should be the correct answer. Have you gotten the concept? Next question. What happens if we were to have monthly compound interest instead? For example, a question over here, this is actually a word problem, and this kind of questions will usually ask you to make some comparison using your calculations, and you make a conclusion. First part, Jane intends to borrow $5,000. Now I'm borrowing money. If I'm borrowing money and I get interest, would I want to pay back more interest or pay back lesser interest? Because I'm borrowing money, I will want to pay as little interest as possible. Compared to my previous questions, this person is actually saving money. If I'm saving money, the bank gives me interest. I want to earn as much interest as possible. But since now I am paying back, I'm borrowing from a bank, so I would like to pay as little interest as possible. Alright, so now this question over here, there are two banks that offers the following plan. The first bank, Bank A, offers me 1.5% per annum compounded yearly. Alright, and for 2 years. So in this case, I'm going to use my compound interest. Right, let's make a calculations. Right, while Bank B gives me 1.35% per annum means per year, but it's compounded monthly, and it's for 2 years. So we need to do something to it in order to compound it monthly. Let's begin with Bank A first. Now, the formula for compound interest starts with total amount. Right, total amount is equals to P bracket 1 plus R over 100 to the power of N. Alright, I usually like to write a habit when I write down my formula first, but if you know the numbers, you can start with your working directly, no problem. So in this case, how much did the person intend to borrow? What is the original sum of money? This is the principal amount, P. So that will be 5,000. 1 plus, what is the interest rate? The question says compounded yearly, and this interest rate is in years. So this will be 1.5% over 100 for 2 years. So 2 years itself will means it'll be compounded 2 times to the power of 2. So let's get this answer and let's label this properly. So this is under Bank A. Alright, so let me calculate the number. 1 plus the fraction 1.5 over 100 to the power of 2. And I will give my answer. This answer is 5151.125. Again, I round up my answer to two decimal places, which means 5151.13. Okay, so that's the first answer. So this is for Bank A. Now let's take a look at Bank B. Right? Bank B, I'll need to find my total amount is equals to P bracket 1 plus R over 100 to the power of N. What is my principal amount? The amount of money that I've borrowed is still 5,000. So P will be equals to 5,000. But now the question says compounded monthly. So when the question says compounded monthly, or they say compounded by month, or the interest is added every month, right? So all this means compounded monthly. Now what do we need to do? I have this interest rate is in terms of year. 1 year I need to pay 1.35%. 1 year has 12 months. 12 months. How many percent will I need to pay for 1 month? Am I going to multiply by 12 to get 12 years? Or am I going to divide by 12 to get 1 month? So in this case, I'll take 1.35 divided by 12. Now, I'm not going to work out the number because sometimes it may have decimal numbers, and if I were to round it up to 5 6 or whichever, the answer may not be accurate. So I'll leave this as 1.35 divided by 12. Okay, and next, this question says for 2 years. 2 years will be equivalent to how many months? 1 year has 12 months, so 2 years will have 2 times 12, which is 24 months. Alright, so in this case, coming back to my formula, I'll start with I borrowed 5,000. 1 plus the interest rate will now be 1.35 divided by 12 over 100 to the power of 24 months, so it means 24 times. So this will be my working for the compounded interest for monthly. So 1.35 divided by 12 over 100 to the power of 24 times. And I got my answer to be 5136.761507. So I'm going to round it up to 2 decimal places, $76. Okay, so this is the amount for Bank B that I'll need to pay at the end of 2 years. So which bank should Jane borrow from? Remember, when borrowing money, do I want to pay more or to pay lesser? So in this case, I would like to pay lesser. So this one over here, this number is a smaller value. It has lesser interest, or it is cheaper. So I'll borrow from Jane will borrow from Bank A because it is cheaper. You can say other portions because she need to pay back a lesser amount. Pay because Jane will need to pay a lesser amount. Or you can say pay lesser interest, or whichever. Alright, now these are the way that you find for monthly, compounded monthly. Right? If I have compounded monthly, I'll need to change the interest rate from year to month. So 1 year is 1.35%. 1 month I need to divide by 12. I'll need to change the time. The time is in years. I'll need to change it to months itself. Alright, so this is the working that you need to take note of for compounded monthly. Last but not least, let's move on to the next question. Finding the principal amount involving compound interest. In this question over here, Ben would like to invest some money. He's investing some money, so he's actually earning money from the interest itself, okay, into a savings plan. The savings plan pays compound interest of 4.5% per annum. Now, take note, the question says compound interest, did not mention whether is it yearly or monthly, so we shall assume it to be yearly. Alright, he would like to have a total of at least 10,000 in his savings. So the total amount that he would like to have is 10,000 or maybe more. Right? So what is the least amount? Right? How much should Ben invest so that he can get at least, what's the smallest amount? $10,000 in his saving plans at the end of 5 years. Right? Give your answer to the nearest dollar. Now let's take a look at our compound interest formula. It begins with total amount is equals to P bracket 1 plus R over 100 to the power of N. So what is the total amount? What is the principal amount? A lot of students will take this number here to be the principal amount. But in the question, what did they ask for? The question actually say Ben would like to invest some money. So this is amount of money we do not know. This is the amount of money that we should begin with. And at the end of it, this is the total sum. So this number here should actually become the total amount of $10,000. Right? And I do not know the P. So P is just the original sum that I should invest, which is what I want to find. 1 plus the interest rate is actually 4.5% over 100 to the power of a period of 5 years. So this will be 5. Now, how should we deal with such kind of question? We are able to calculate this whole thing using our calculator. So please calculate this number. So $10,000, remember to write this down. You usually skip this step, right? So this number will be 1 plus 4.5 over 100, the whole thing bracket to the power of 5. It gives me the number. For working, we give to 5 sig fig. So we'll copy the first 5 number. 1.246. 18, so we round up to 2, right? Then times the number P, the letter P itself. So this is actually multiplication times P. So now, how do we find P? And we do not want 1.2462. So if we do not want 1.2462, this is a multiplication. We do a division 1.2462 on both sides. Therefore, your answer for P will be equals to 10,000 divided by 1.2462. And that gives me the number 8024.39. Okay, usually we need to round up or round down the number. Okay, but now the question says give your answer to dollars, the nearest dollar. So the nearest whole dollar itself, this answer here, this will give me 8024. All right, so 8024. Right, please check your answers. If I were to have 8024, 1 plus R 4.5 over 100 to the power of 5, I check lah. I press this into my calculator, I will only be able to get $9999.36. Have I met the objective of getting $10,000? No, right? So in this case, what should I use? Should I use $8,024 or should you invest $8,025 instead? So in order to get a total of at least this $10,000, it's always good for you to check the number. So the answer in this case, I should not give $8,024. I should give $8,025 instead, so that I can get minimally $10,000. If not, when I substitute this, my number is actually less than $10,000. Alright, so how much answer should I invest? $8,025. Next question, how much interest did Ben earn? So from this answer itself, giving answer to the nearest dollar, how much interest did I earn? If at the end of the question, then I get $10,000 and I started with $8,025, the difference will be the interest that I earned. So this number will be my interest. All right, $1,975. Have you gotten the answer? So for this type of question, please differentiate. Read the question very carefully, right? Is this 10,000 the number? Is it the principal amount, or is it the total amount given in the question? Then we use the formula and evaluate this portion over here. Plug in the numbers and calculate this value. You get the number over here, 1.2462 times P. This is multiplication. In order to get rid of the multiplication, you do division. So you divide both the numbers by 1.2462 and you can get your answer. Alright, have you gotten the concept? Now that's all for the end of this part of the lesson. We'll see you for the next lesson. Goodbye.